Hello and welcome to Stacking Triggers, a podcast for Magic singles and hot singles in your area are for sale on TCG Player. I'm Caleb.
And I'm a Mana Rock.
And I have a demonic tutor.
Hey.
Caleb, that intro started very badly and then morphed into something that could actually be something.
Yeah, I guess so.
But it was just so poor at the beginning. But it's fine. You're workshopping shit as it goes. How is everybody? I hope everyone's well.
I don't have to listen to you. You're about half dead because you're all hopped up on Moderna.
That's true.
Oh, you got that Moderna?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't getting Pfizer because it's close to someone's name. That's a joke. I'm not fucking serious.
You dumb piece of shit.
That's a great joke. It only matters to like 3 people who understand that joke. So as I said, how is everyone?
Good. The important question is, how the fuck are you? Because you were dead last week.
Yes, I died last week, and I almost died this week because I got my vaccine yesterday around noon 30, and I'm like, oh, I'm fine. It was like 6 hours later. I'm like, oh, I'm totally fine. 7 o'clock. I'm in the middle of brewing something for an eventual commander thing we're doing, the 3 of us, and I'm like, oh, I'm starting to feel it now, Mr. Krabs. And then it was like downhill from there. I didn't get to sleep till like midnight because I'm like, if I don't finish brewing this now, I will not finish it tomorrow or the next day or the next day. So I finished it and I'm very happy. But then I went to bed at like midnight and then woke up in just immense amounts of pain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy that you're not in as much pain now.
Well, I took some Tylenol, which they say is what you should take whenever you do Moderna. I took it at work because I went into the office today, and my boss is like, "Why are you here?" And I said, "Because I didn't think so and so was going to be here. So and so was there, so I didn't have to actually be at the office in the first place." But the point is I complained for about an hour, as you do when you're a guy who's sick. And then you take some pain medication, and then I was basically over it after that point.
But sick time. And just say, I got the COVID shot.
I want to save my sick time for when I can actually use it and, like, enjoy myself and not just be like, I feel like death.
Okay.
Shut up, Bill.
I must use sick time wrong.
I don't even have sick time. I have a general PTO bucket. So I'd like to use my PTO for when I can, which at some point will be spent on working on Netflix and Swill, a Netflix podcast.
I get sick time. I never use it. I enjoy being a corporate drudgeon.
Yeah. I got indoctrinated to that lifestyle, and I can't stop. Caleb, how are you?
Sick time
no, Bill, shut the fuck up. How's Caleb? I don't care about you.
I'm fine. I'm moving again.
It's confirmed.
I was offered and accepted a new job, which is the same as my current job, but at a much larger store. So I'm moving to Columbus.
Sounds awful.
Yay! Do you have any prospects on places to live yet?
Yeah, actually, I was asking one of the guys that works where I'll be working, and like he just moved to that area like in February, and because like the one sticky part is my dogs, because I won't leave them, and like if I can't bring them with me, I'm not taking the job.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he said that like the apartment building he lives in They're pet friendly, and they actually have a dog park that's like attached to the building that's for residents. So
There you go.
That's awesome.
sounds pretty cool.
That does. Now the real question, because you just hired somebody that plays Magic, does anybody else at the new job play Magic?
I have no idea. They will, I guess. I don't know. They I mean, I'm going to be in a much more habitable area, I guess. So I'll be finding my LGS and actually being able to play Magic. So
Right, because you'll actually be near a population center as opposed to where you are now.
oh yes.
Oh, yes, Daddy.
So you're now assistant manager.
Yeah, assistant to the regional manager. Very important.
And I'm fine. Thanks for asking.
Who are you?
I didn't.
It's okay.
I'm glad you're fine.
I'm really excited. I brewed my first commander deck. And, well, not my first, but I brewed one that's viable and purchased it.
There you go.
So I'm excited.
I have a main topic, but if you guys have something you'd like to discuss, lay it on
I
me.
do. I want to talk about this stupid fucking deck that I ran into on Magic Arena. It is literally one of the worst decks I've ever fucking seen in my entire life. Basically, all they do is they gain and drain you, and then continually use board wipes because they're fucking garbage can players that are fucking terrible. And it makes me want to pull out a gun and shoot them through the computer. It's one of the worst decks I've ever experienced. It's in white and black, and I hate it. I fucking hate it. If you play this deck, please unsubscribe from this podcast, and think about your life and your life choices, and maybe walk along a bridge while you do it.
Uh-huh.
Wow. So, did they win?
Oh yeah, they won because they were just like Doomscar, black board wipe, Doomscar, black
Shatter
board
the
wipe,
sky.
black board wipe, exile all creatures. All creatures get -X/-X. Oh, and meanwhile, I'm playing 4 copies of Dogged Pursuit, so you just lose one life at the end of my end step, or the beginning of my end step every turn. Oh, and now I played 3 of them, so now you lose 3 life. I don't have any friends, and I can't imagine why.
Oh, sounds like Auto Shuffler screwed you.
Oh, it sounds like a perfectly fine deck that's really strong and
No, it's definitely the Auto Shuffler. Well, actually, no. It was also the deck I was playing. Well, the Auto Shuffler in Magic Arena is legitimately fucking terrible. It is one of the.
It really is
the worst Auto Shuffler I have ever experienced in any card game, like digital card game, ever. Because over half of my games, I'm screaming at my computer, "Where is my shit?" Because it feels like everybody else is drawing their shit. And maybe it's because the decks I'm playing are bad. Totally possible. But also, like, I feel like everybody else's shit is equally as bad. And they're just drawing their god hands. And I'm playing everybody's god hands with my, holy fuck, no one would play with this fucking hand ever.
How many times do you mulligan before you just say, fuck it, I'll do it this hand?
There was literally one game where I think I just mulliganed down to 0 because I hit like 4. I had 4 cards left in hand, and I still had fucking 2 lands. Like every single one was either 1 to 2 lands.
Yeah, but if you have 4 cards in hand, that means 50% of your hands land. Then
I mean, that's true.
It's not bad.
That's big math right there. But then I mulliganed down to 0 and then fucking conceded because like there's no reason for me to mulligan. What? 4 times, 3-4 times, and get only 2 lands in every fucking hand when I'm running 24 lands? There's no reason. There's no reason for it.
That's true.
That's me being salty again. like I want to build. It's a budget white, like mono white magecraft deck. Basically it has to not run out of gas, and then you'll be fine. Because you're running like 4 copies of Defiant Strike. You're also running Learn, and you're running that one that scries 2 and then draws 1. So like you have the ability to draw some cards. But like if the game's not over within 6 turns, you're done, because all of your you're running Luris, and all of your creatures are under 2 power unless you're, spell slinging, and then when you run out of your gas, it's over. So maybe it's not the greatest deck, but it also is infuriating whenever I get nothing.
I'm sorry they touched you like that.
Yeah. All right, I'm done complaining. Do whatever you want now.
All right. Well, I was going to talk about building, like deck building for flavor, but I've been very deeply involved with a different project, so I'm going to hold that for next time and bump up my next topic, which was going to be streamlining your deck for ruthless efficiency. So a few days ago we played Commander, and I played my Tulane Teller of Tales Slivers deck. And you guys all got to see kind of how it works, and just the myriad problems that I have with it. Of just not being able to finish a fucking game.
I don't know, I finished pretty quick.
Okay.
That's true, because you died.
So I do feel bad for that build, because I didn't count the number of cards in Caleb's graveyard. Otherwise, I would not have killed you. If I had counted,
yeah,
I would have killed Caleb, and then I eventually would have killed you, and then we could have played another game.
Yeah, but what we ended up with was kind of Dan like had an early commanding lead, and like me and Bill were dirtling along and just kind of couldn't get it together. One thing that I need to address with this deck, which did happen, is like as soon as a board wipe hits the field, like the deck just can't recover.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It ended up being, Bill got taken out of the game. Dan thought he was going to take me out of the game shortly after, but then my lifelink came online, and then it just became like a slugging match where we were both just gaining a ton of life and just trying to race each other to 0. And it sucked, and it went on forever.
It was terrible.
It was terrible.
It was terrible. I was like yours and Bill's life combined at one point, like more than that. And then after I eliminated Bill, Caleb, you started roaring back to like where you were like triple my life total, but then I swung back to be like double your life total. It was like
we were like
fucking
dead even.
seesaw. It was so stupid.
Which, like, I don't know. I like an interesting swingy game, but like it just it became asinine.
Right.
I remember at one point you guys were both saying like, when will this end? But you were both so stubborn.
Oh yes.
That somebody wouldn't concede.
Well, yeah, because like me and Dan are both actually like very competitive.
Yes.
And like we weren't just going to give the other person the W.
Right. Wow. Like there's a reason I scream at people for slow playing in Arena. It's like half the time they're fucking playing, acting like they're on the fucking MTG Pro Tour when that doesn't exist anymore. Like, bro, no one's gonna find you in bronze ranked. Get the fuck out of here. Play your cards faster. Let's go. We don't got time for this shit.
All right. So I sent you guys the deck list over on Discord there. It'll be in the show notes, and then like I'll kind of finish this up, get it to where I think I want the next version to be, and have like an updated deck list that we can put in the show notes also. But we're going to kind of go through this live here and address some of the problems with it. So let me know when you guys have that pulled up.
Oh, it's up.
Yep. I got it. Your average CMC is kind of high there.
My average CMC is 3, which is fine.
Yeah, for Commander 3 is fine.
Nah.
Oh,
It's gotta be lower.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'll
I hate
make a Cheerios deck where everything's zero
this
cost
guy.
and just
Oh my god.
Just hate me. It's okay.
fucking moron. 3 CMC is fine, especially like it's commander, so it's the big mana format. Plus,
Right.
he's a commander whose big thing is ramping and drawing cards. Like the mana will be there. Don't worry. First and foremost, I want to point out this is a Sliver's deck with just Tulane is the only non-Sliver creature in it as the commander. There are 47 Sliver creatures in this deck.
Oh, that's too much.
Because I just crammed in. I made, like, when I initially made this deck, I just kind of threw it together pretty quick. And I just put, like, every Sliver that's in Bant Colors into this. And I really need to stop. I think I'm going to cut the total number of creatures back to, like... I still want a lot of creatures because of Tulane's ability, but
thinking like 30?
I think I want to try to pare it back to, like, 38.
Oh, wow.
35, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Which is still quite a bit. But yeah, like, having so many creatures in it, it's great if I just keep consistently hitting them and then casting them and getting Tulane's triggers and stuff, but like that kind of prevents me from putting in the answers to specific things. So
right, because I mean, if we go based off of like Command Zone's template, you definitely don't have anywhere near enough like single target removal. Like you've got some, but like your ramp isn't that great either. Like you have the 2 big green ramp spells, but other than that, it's like not there.
I'm glad that you brought it up because let's go through kind of the stats of the deck and what we've got in there currently. So for ramp, I just quickly looked through. I counted 7 things. So we have Mana Weft Sliver and Gemhide Sliver, which both turn all of my slivers into mana dorks. There is Cultivate, Explosive Vegetation, Farseek, Rampant Growth, and Tulane's ability. I count as a ramp because he lets you put a land onto the battlefield. So 7 with Tulane's being repeatable and like Mana Weft and Gemhide Slivers being able to go pretty wide. But I'd like to add at least like 2 more things, I feel like. For card draw, I've got Synapse Sliver, and I've got Tulane himself, and that's about it.
And that's a big yikes.
That's very bad. So like I said, like all this deck really can do is just cast slivers for their mana cost and then attack with them. For removal, I have got Constricting Sliver, Path to Exile, Pongify, Rapid Hybridization, Swords to Plowshares, and Curse of the Swine, which is kind of in between targeted removal and board wipe.
Sure.
But definitely should probably expand on that too. And then board wipes, I've actually got 5. Curse of the Swine, again, I count that kind of as both. Crush of Tentacles, Devastation Tide, Azuri's Predation, and Navineral's Disc. Which I think I want to pare that back to 2, actually. 2 or 3.
Right, because you're, like you said, if a board wipe is used against you, you're kind of fucked. So you don't want to run board wipes because most of the time they'll be dead for you.
Yeah, and I still want the panic button in there. But I don't want, like, I definitely want that kind of effect. I just don't want to lean into it so hard. Like, I don't think it's as big of an advantage for me to wipe the board as with a lot of other decks.
I also notice you're in blue, but there's no counterspell, no negate, no stop the thing.
Well, there's like counter effects tied to slivers. So I've got like diffusion sliver. When a sliver's the target of a spell or ability, it counters that spell unless its controller pays 2. There's another one that has a similar effect. I can't remember it offhand. But I think the one just has like a straight up counter effect, and then Crystalline Sliver gives them all hexproof. So I'm not super worried about that. Plus, with like if Chulane himself gets targeted with removal, he has the 3 and tap return target creature you control to its owner's hand, so he can just bounce himself to avoid getting removed. So I don't know if counter spells is where I want my interaction to go with this deck.
Fair enough.
But from cards that I was looking to slot into the deck, I did have one counter spell, which I guess we'll talk about now. The stuff that I was looking at for putting in for interaction is Void Slime, which is green, blue, blue for an instant. Counter target spell, active ability, or triggered ability.
Not bad.
I like the utility on it. I like being able to hit, like, sometimes there's just like a triggered ability on a creature that'll win somebody the game, and I like being able to shut that down.
Yeah.
It's obviously harder to cast than counterspell, but it's in our colors, so.
Right.
I did want to put some more kind of target removal stuff at the expense of some board wipes. So I was looking at Reality Shift, which is 1 and a blue for exile target creature. Its controller manifests the top card of their library. And Runaway Together, which is 1 and a blue for an instant. Choose 2 target creatures controlled by different players. Return those creatures to their owner's hands. So that can bounce something off an opponent's side of the board and bounce Chulane if need be to protect him. What else? What else did I have in that slot?
Hey, you've got a card in your enchantments that I have in my deck. The Teferi's Ageless Insight.
That is in the maybe board.
Oh, well,
we're not talking about that.
Oh, sorry.
Well, we will. I'm kind of going through. Yeah, I think that's all the interaction stuff that I was looking to put in. Like, I'm not trying to make it like super interactive, because there's a lot of the abilities on slivers and stuff that are just like, which one was it? Is it Psychic Sliver? Psionic Sliver gives all of them tap. This creature deals 2 damage to target creature and 3 damage to itself. And there's another ability like that where you can tap your slivers to deal damage to things. That's interaction. So I'm not too worried about adding too much more to that. But and then as far as board wipes, I think I want to drop Crush of Tentacles, Devastation Tide, and Navineral's Disc. I want to keep Izuri's Predation in there,
right?
Because it doesn't blow out my side of the board, and it makes me some creature tokens that can just win me the game or block stuff, which is pretty good. And I'm gonna keep Curse of the Swine because, like I said, it kind of pulls double duty. Like it's something I can target and specifically use. But there is one board wipe that I was looking to add, which is a creature called Bane of Progress. It's 4 green for an elemental 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, destroy all artifacts and enchantments. Put a 1/1 counter on Bane of Progress for each permanent destroyed this way.
Sure.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and especially like specifically in our little group, like you guys run a lot of artifact and enchantment based decks, so and then I have no way to interact with it and just get steamrolled by the circus of values.
I've just been running precons. They came like that.
That's fine.
It was always allowed.
I'm just saying I don't have a way to interact with it. One thing that has been in the deck since day one that is really good, and I've never gotten it in a game, is Abundance, which is 2 green for an enchantment. If you would draw a card, you may instead choose land or non-land. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a card of the chosen type, and put that card into your hand and all other cards revealed that way on the bottom of your library in any order. So this synergizes with Tulane's ability really well, so if we have a land in hand already, we can choose non-land and get something that we can cast. And if we don't have a land, we can choose land and get it to put out with the second half of his ability to put a land onto the battlefield. I really like this. I've never gotten to use it, which brings me into the second part of the tune-up, which is going to be tutors. So since we're in white, world, like, what the hell's the white one? Enlightened Tutor is a little outside my price range right now that I want to spend on this. So I'm going to do Idyllic Tutor, which is 2 and a white. Search your library for an enchantment card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. So basically, This is just another copy of Abundance. Then I want to be able to tutor creatures up too, so I can find specific slivers that are going to synergize with what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to be running Worldly Tutor, which is a green mana for search your library for a creature card and reveal it, shuffle your library and put that card on top. This can also set us up for, drawing into that card with Tulane. So
that's a pricey boy.
Yeah, I own a copy, so that's
okay.
I can just slot it right in there. I have a copy that is not being used right now. Similarly, like, I already own a copy of Mystical Tutor, so that'll go in there. That'll help me find my, specific targeted removal or board wipe or a ramp spell or whatever I happen to need at the time. I also want to be able to kind of tutor creatures right out onto the battlefield. So in addition to Worldly Tutor, Green Sun Zenith is a little pricey. I don't want to pick up another copy of that right now. So I decided to go with Chord of Calling, which is X green, for an instant with Convoke. Your creatures can help cast this spell. Each creature you tap while casting the spell pays for 1 or 1 mana of that creature's color. So I can just potentially cast this for no mana by tapping down my creatures. But it lets me search my library for a creature card with converted mana cost X or less and put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. And it's X green for this effect. So let's say I want to start taking out specific things. I'm looking for Constricting Sliver. That is a 6 CMC spell. So I would do 6 and 3 green and get it straight out onto the battlefield.
Seems good.
Which is fine. We're turning all our slivers into mana dorks and all that stuff, so. Also, Shared Summons is in a similar role. So 3 green for search a library for up to 2 creature cards with different names, reveal them, put them in your hand, then shuffle your library. And Wargate, which is X green, white, blue. Search your library for a permanent card with converted mana cost X or less, put it into play, then shuffle. So this is the most difficult one to cast, but it says target permanent that's in your library, so we can get some of our cheesy artifacts and enchantments and shit. Cheat those out too. And then the other creature tutor is Eldritch Evolution, which is 1 green for a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast Eldritch Evolution, sacrifice a creature. Search the library for a creature card with converted mana cost X or less, where X is 2 plus the sacrificed creature's converted mana cost. Put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library, exile Eldritch Evolution.
Not bad.
Not bad at all.
Yeah, since I'm looking to go kind of tutor heavy with this, I think that the tutors just take up my card draw spots.
Yes, because
like
tutoring is better than
they
drawing.
get me the specific, like, it's controlled card draw basically, and like they thin out my deck and like make the rest of the deck more consistent, I guess. So
think of it like this. If you're running a tutor, you're running an extra copy of whatever you want to tutor out.
Yep.
It was one of my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh deck concepts was Elemental Heroes. You basically ran like it was like four Elemental Heroes, or 4 Elemental Heroes, and you ran like 7 tutors. So in a 40 card deck, you're running basically 11 Elemental Heroes, but you're only really running 4. It was great.
Oh man,
that deck moves so fast.
It was Sanic.
Pretty much.
I don't know. Speaking of moving fast, like I wanted to increase my ramp package a little bit, so I'm not running Soul Ring in this deck. I should probably be running Soul Ring. That lets us get Tulane out, a couple turns earlier. So I'm going to put in Soul Ring. I'm also going to put in Growth Spiral, which is green and blue for an instant. Draw a card, put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. So this is another one that pulls double duty. And it lets us ramp in the 2 CMC slot. So,
now, is there anything you can do with your land base on a cheaper end? I'm not going to say like, hey, spend $1 million to fix your land base, but is there anything that you'd look at and go, this could be upgraded?
Actually, yeah, kind of. Like, since Tulane's ability lets you play a lot of lands, my main concern kind of is like mana fixing early on. So I took out one of each basic land type and put in one of each of the 3 relevant guild gates, so that I can also run Circuitous Route, which is 3 and a green for a sorcery. Search a library for up to 2 basic land cards and or gate cards. Put them on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle your library. So let's say I'm doing alright on green mana, but I need white mana. So I can just grab an Azorius Guild Gate and a Selesnya Guild Gate, and then, that fills my need for white mana, and then, I can tap it for the other mana. Circuitous Route puts them out tapped anyway, so I don't really lose anything for running a Guild Gate. But there's some things I can add to the mana base, like tutors. Like I could probably throw in like a Bant Panorama, which is also a really fun card name to say. I did like a minor tune up on it a little while ago, because like I literally just had 12 forests, 12 islands, 12 plains.
I remember that game.
Which it was terrible. So
what about just like Temple of the False God? A land that you tap and it gives you 2 colorless.
It's fine.
It's fine.
I was worried more about like early on in the game, because like I'm gonna be putting out so many lands anyway, but like Temple of the False God does nothing until you have 5 lands. So
it's true.
Doesn't really help me get Tulane out early.
Myriad Landscape, because that brings 2 in, right?
Yes.
What about
I'm just saying cards I know.
Cracklands? So like Terramorphic Expanse. Because you're running 3 colors, so it almost feels like you could get away with that.
I could, yeah. Like I said, I can throw in tutors or fetches and shit if I want to, but I don't know. I like the idea more of like trying to get lands that come out untapped. So like the ones that I have that come out tapped are like the Guild Gates, like I mentioned, Lumbering Falls, which is a land that can turn into a creature. So I just kind of like that utility. Seaside Citadel, which taps for all colors that we have. So like I can tap it for green, white, or blue. And Temple of Mystery which lets us scry. But like other than that, I was trying to stay away from tap lands and like I don't know.
Pathways?
It could go either way. I'm gonna like have to continue play testing it, but
What about Pathways? What do you think about that?
yeah, sure. I mean, I'm trying to do the tune up somewhat on a budget and just use things that I own. So like I was thinking about putting in like the snarls and stuff like that. Cuz like I have the Canopy Vista in there and like what is it? What's the Quandrix one? I think Vine Glimmer Snarl.
Yeah.
But it's like the same thing as like what a Canopy Vista would be essentially. So like I could put those in. Pathways are a bit pricier just because they are that good, and like I've already bought several of them, so yeah, I don't know. Like once I get enough lands out that like I can get the colors that I need, like a pathway isn't really that much better than a basic land.
I feel like you need a Rhystic Study.
Yeah, I could do a Rhystic Study, I could do, there's a lot of things that we could put in this deck if we wanted to.
Just do it. Just put them all in. It's over 100 cards. We don't care.
Yeah, that's true. How about Panharmonicon?
No.
If an artifact or creature entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So every time I play a creature spell, I get Chulane twice. So I can draw 2 cards and potentially put out 2 lands. That seems good.
Sounds like a good way to get decked.
No, it's not even that. It's just like I don't know about that. If you had more like ETBs or anything like that, or like ability triggers, then sure. But otherwise, it's just triggering Chulane, which like I guess is fine. But I mean,
yeah. I mean, it doubles Constricting Sliver, so I can exile 2 things with Constricting Sliver every time I play a Sliver. Surely I have more ETBs. See, that's another thing, because that's like a synergy card that like, it's under maybe, but it's, it's something to think about. And the other thing is, I was going to put in some non-sliver creatures, and I have a trick for that. But why don't we add some recursion to stuff? So why don't we throw in like Archaeomancer to get our instants and sorceries back from the graveyard? That's an ETB that works with Panharmonicon. What about Deadeye Navigator, so we can really abuse the shit out of ETBs? Eternal Witness, my favorite green card. Get just whatever we want back from the graveyard. So, with a lot of the stuff that I was looking to put in, like I think that enough synergy is there to make Panharmonicon worth examining at least. What else? Dreamstalker and White Mane Lion are creatures that say when it enters the battlefield, return a creature you control to its owner's hand. So we can continually recast those to get Chulane triggers. Shrieking Drake's the same thing. He's just a little bit cheaper on mana. So yeah, for as much blue mana as we have, we can just cast and recast Shrieking Drake and draw cards and put out lands and have a magical Christmas. Mirror Entity is one that I was looking at. So it's a changeling. It's all creature types. And we can pay X to get creatures that we control to have base power and toughness XX and gain all creature types. So all of our non-sliver creatures become slivers and gain all the abilities from slivers. And we can make everything, 10/10 base power and then get all the sliver buffs and just fucking wreck everything. And I wanted to put in Endray's Forerunners as a win condition. So this is my budget Crater Hoof. So, what else? Alurin is on the maybe board. It's a card that, if I really, really care about this deck a lot, it's got to go in there at some point, but it's also $90 to $100. It's an enchantment for 2 green that says any player may play a creature card with total casting cost 3 or less whenever they could play an instant and without paying its mana cost. So with White Mane Lion, we can just cast it for free over and over, bounce itself in and out, and, draw our entire deck, put out every land in our deck, and just go absolutely crazy. There's one card that I was I was looking at a thing on Reddit about people's pet cards. So somebody was talking about Bounty of the Luxa, which is an enchantment for 2 green and blue. It doesn't look that great, but it kind of gains sneaky value over time. So at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you remove all flood counters from it. If no counters were removed this way, you put a flood counter on it and draw a card. Otherwise, you add colorless green and blue to your mana pool. So every other turn, it draws you a card or gives you 3 mana. So this kind of is our it's ramp and card draw, but you can't really super control it well. So, like I say, it's just incremental value over time. Felidar Retreat looks good in this. Retreat to Coral Helm looks good in this. I run that in the Tatiova deck. It just has landfall. You get to choose one of the following things. You can scry one, or you can tap or untap a target creature. So if you put out enough lands, you can just tap down your opponent's full board and swing in. Intruder Alarm, creatures don't untap during their controller's untap steps. Whenever a creature comes into play, untap all creatures. I don't know if I really want this effect or not. I'm considering it.
It just seems plain old fun.
It does. And it's kind of it can help you as well as it can fuck you.
It's a fair card.
Yeah. Teferi's Ageless Insight, like you said earlier, that's kind of our budget Alhammer's Archive. So if you would draw a card except the first one you draw in each of your draw steps, you draw 2 cards instead. And basically what I'm trying to do with this deck is kind of have Chulane as an early game engine to build a presence, get set up, and then to kind of stop caring about having Chulane out, because At this point, it's entirely dependent on having Tulane, and the deck just does nothing if he's not out. So Zendikar Resurgent. Whenever you tap a land for mana, add 1 mana to your mana pool of any type that land produced. And whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. This kind of replaces Tulane a little bit. We get to draw every time we cast a creature spell, and it doubles up our mana, basically. Crystal Shard also mimics one of Tulane's abilities. It's 3 mana for an artifact, and we can pay 3 and tap or pay blue and tap to return target creature card to its owner's hand unless that controller pays 1. So we can just target our own shit with this and bounce them and recast them and do whatever. Xenograft is an enchantment, so this is like my little nod to Phyrexia, which has to be in every deck now that I build, apparently. So as Xenograft enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Each creature you control is the chosen type in addition to its other types. So all of the non-Sliver creatures that I'm looking to slot in, we name Slivers, they all become Slivers, they all gain the abilities from the Slivers, and everything's good forever. And then the other thing was an infinite mana combo. So Isochron Scepter is an artifact with imprint. When Isochron Scepter enters the battlefield, you may exile an instant card with converted mana cost 2 or less from your hand. Then you can pay 2 and tap it to copy the exiled card, and you can cast a copy without paying its mana cost. And the card that we would try to get onto this is Dramatic Reversal, which is 1 and a blue for an instant with untap all non-land permanents you control. So if we've got our Gemhide Sliver or our Mana Weft Sliver, we can tap all our Slivers for mana. We can Isochron Scepter a copy of Dramatic Reversal to untap everything, and then do that an infinite amount of times, and just cast everything. I don't know if that's... I don't have, I have X cost spells in here, but they're not, deal X damage or anything. I don't know... I don't really have an outlet for an infinite mana thing, so that probably doesn't make the final cut.
Sure you do. Yeah, you have a Shrieking Drake.
Yeah, but, But, I can only go so far before I deck myself. Which, in the only recursion... Well, I'm going to be slotting in Archaeomancer and Eternal Witness, but, the only recursion in the deck as it stands is Psychic Spiral, which I do like very much. But, I don't know. What are you guys thinking about this? Should I just set the deck on fire and walk away?
No. You just need a win con. Or multiple win cons. I think that's what we determined afterwards is our decks just do the thing, but then they don't do anything with the thing. They just do the thing and hope they outlast the other decks.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't really want to go this route, but I could even put in something like Approach of the Second Sun, which would be pretty dumb because Tulane likes to draw a bunch of cards, so
right.
We could just Approach of the Second Sun and win. The win cons are looking like they're going to be Endray's Forerunners, and then Virulent Sliver, which gives all Slivers poisonous, which is kind of the precursor to Infect. So that's something, or just beat people down with combat damage. So I think that this deck just wins through the combat step.
Right.
Since we're kind of going for a big mana thing, I could put in Helix Pinnacle, which is just an enchantment that if you spend 100 mana on it, you win the game, basically. You can pay X. you can pay X to put X counters on it, and if there's 100 counters on it, you win the game. That's the win condition in the Crewfix deck, but like,
Oh my god.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this could get there or not, but if we're turning all our creatures into mana dorks, then maybe. So, I don't know. I kind of like the deck just winning through the combat step, though. But yeah, I think I want to take out about 10 slivers. We've got to up the card draw, and I want to pare back the board wipes.
Right.
And slot in some of this other good stuff. So,
well, it sounds like you have a plan, so at least there's that.
Yeah. And like this is kind of the deck building process for me. Like, I'll just throw together a bunch of bullshit that doesn't work necessarily, or that I think might work. I'll play test it 3 or 4 times. I'll be like, oh god, no, this doesn't work at all. And then try to go back to the drawing board. But like you said, there are a lot of good resources out there. So like, I use EDH Rec a bit, like quite a bit actually, like just to kind of get ideas, and to see what other people are doing with similar decks, and try to fit that to the theme that I'm going on. And then watch the Command Zone episode about the new Commander deck building template, because like I do kind of swear by that.
It's true.
Yes.
All right. That should pretty well count as this week's deck tech, because holy fuck, I talked about that for like 45 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, make sure I get you the updated version so you can put both in the show notes though. So
okay.
All right. I really like slivers. They're probably my favorite tribe in Magic. So I'm gonna say the card of the week for this week is going to be Fungus Sliver. It's 3 and a green for a 2/2 creature, Fungus Sliver. It is what it says on the tin. All slivers have, when this creature is dealt damage, put a +1/+1 counter on it. The damage is dealt before the counter is put on. So basically, anytime your slivers are dealt damage, as long as they survive the damage, they get stronger.
That's a pretty good chump block for days.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're chump blocking, it's fine.
Chump block, or even with it synergizes with the psionic sliver. So whenever you tap them to deal damage to a target creature or player, and they deal damage to themselves, then you can just make them stronger. So slivers are a really neat tribe. They can do a lot of stuff, and they get pretty stupid.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, they do.
Any housekeeping stuff?
No. I think we're pretty good.
Yep.
Sub to our YouTube channel, because you should do that.
Episodes go up weekly.
I have to be set up to do the thing.
Yep. I'm trying to think of okay. I pay 1 and tap the Veneral's disc.
In response, I bolt myself.